This new DLC for Marvel's Avengers is beyond what you actually thought it would be in a very, very good way. Here are the details that just released. You're going to be super hyped. Now, Bucky's combat skills in martial arts and his gun shooting skills, in a nutshell, basically make him this game's version of John Wick. That was a comment that I saw, and I've never related more to that, where I can say that is just accurate. Now, it was marketed tragically. That's the issue here with this DLC, and the new gameplay shows that. So here are the details that just released for Winter Soldier. In a nutshell, this guy is a powerhouse damage dealer. He specifically excels in both close-up and personal brawling and medium-ranged marksmanship. The custom kits as well that you see in the background look great, let's be honest. However, paying for them? That's the painful part, right? But overall, the skins for this DLC character do, as a whole, look very good in my opinion. Now, Bucky can modify his base abilities by turning on his intrinsic ability, which is Steel Forged Tenacity, and it is basically charged by parrying damage, leading to a customizable defense, which is Boost Red Star. Now, rising Bucky's intrinsic overcharge basically triggers an area of affected damage explosion, good for clearing small mobs. And again, you see this in the background in the gameplay. As a whole, just looks super cool. Now, the intrinsic attacks are the two following. So first of all, you got Light Sprint, which is called Glinting Blade, which basically deals damage with his knife. And then the second one is Heavy Sprint Explosive Entrance, which is basically just a powerful slam that sends the enemies, or as we can just say, the same robots we've been fighting for a while now, into space in a nutshell. But we know technically this is the final DLC, hopefully, fingers crossed, until we do enter a new realm of enemies, and hopefully where this game does completely take a U-turn. Now, two of my favorites from this trailer is, first of all, I mean, again, you just see it in the background and you probably look at that and you say, wow, that's cool. So it's the first one, which is the airstrike, which is basically, I mean, it is what it says, right? You can call in an airstrike and kaboosh kabam, they are gone. Now, the second is
Buckshot can be upgraded to a combination ranged attack that gives you access to various modes of his rifle.
I mean, come on, how does that not look good? Like, that in general looks incredible. So those are two of my favorites from this trailer, but I mean, overall, if you just take a look at the seamless gameplay in general and his moves as a whole, I mean, it looks very good. Now, another comment that basically hit the nail on the head is Bucky is basically a combination of Cap and Widow with his own unique set of skills. And the thing is, that's how it should actually be. That's how a character, or a copy character if you will, should be. Overall, if we go back and we take a look on how this DLC was marketed, bear in mind guys, as you know, this is the first DLC character that we are getting in over a year. So it's kind of like that, almost like redemption slightly for the game, where it's like, okay, well, are people still biting onto it? And the short answer is yes. But the guys that market the DLC in general just do a terrible job. I mean, in a nutshell, a really bad job. If you go back from like the first trailer being released and then all the information and all the stuff that was revealed prior to that, you can see where things just go south. And the God's honest truth is, this game, and I will just continue to say it, because the thing is, the game hasn't given up yet, solely because people must still be clearly buying the cosmetics in the game, which is really fueling this. But when you have DLCs like this, it still shows that, okay, the team working on the game, you can see the passion in terms of the gameplay and just the characters in general. You can't just say it's been slapped together and thrown out there. Like, there is actually some effort in doing this. So if you were to look at the game over, overall and say, okay, well, what's going on? Things are going south, etc. Realistically, if we dig deep, it's not the developer's fault, okay? It's literally the people who market this game. And as you guys know, even like a month ago, a couple of weeks ago, I was still pretty much on the fence, where I'm saying, okay, look, this game is just going downhill, and it's going downhill very fast. But the issue is communication, right? Because it's still a good game. You see things like this, and me personally, I'm very hyped up for it. had this had not been revealed, for example, and we just had that trailer this week and maybe like a few screenshots, then sure, I would probably very likely at that point say, well, it's just another DLC that's basically a copy and paste character, just a different skin, basically, and pretty much that's what that first trailer represented. I know a lot of people do feel for it, very much 50-50. I know there's a lot of other creators as well that's still very much 50-50, but I mean, me, as a fan, and just my perspective over this DLC as a whole, I can honestly say it's a DLC that I'm genuinely very, very excited for, and it comes out in, 4 days, right? Or whenever you're watching this video, but like when I'm recording it right now, it's 4 days. So, with that being said, if it's getting me hyped, for example, then I mean, it's gotta be interesting because it's me and then a bunch of you guys as well, right? Sure, like I say, there are people that are not going to like it. Could you argue the fact that, it's still the only Marvel game out there besides Midnight Suns, etc., that it's still piquing interest and people want it to work? Sure, I guess you could say that. The other argument would be, well, okay, is it just simply because there hasn't been a DLC character in over a year and it's, just something new and refreshing at a time where maybe not a lot of new things, for superhero games are happening? Sure, I guess you could probably say that's another argument. But still, if it was something very, very bad, I mean, people would be identifying that. And that's what happened with that first trailer. The first trailer got released, which is basically the whole sort of animation version, right? And that's where things went south. Like, that's where a lot of people basically said, oh my god, this is just straight up a copy and paste. I'm not really feeling this DLC character. Things are going south, etc., etc. But if it was the other way around, where they released gameplay and then new gameplay which they showed today, and then all the information that got released today, and then showed that animation trailer, I mean, that's a complete different story. It's just been done in the wrong order, but quite frankly, in a good way. I mean, maybe it could be one of two things, right? Maybe it was just, actually, we just don't know it right now, but maybe it was a genius marketing strategy, but as somebody who's in that industry, I can probably say that it has got to be the worst piece of marketing for something that's meant to be big, and something that still has a very big, well, I guess you could say audience that want the game to work. I wouldn't really say a lot of people still playing it, which is very evident. However, in terms of how many people still care about this game and still want it to do well and see them doing things like this and then come out and say, well, look, I'm surprised the game hasn't completely given up, or I'm surprised the plug hasn't been pulled, which are things that I still say almost every single day. It's questionable, right? But as long as they continue to do things like this and move in the right direction, it will be great. But the thing is, communication's still poor, and the marketing probably isn't going to change because there's another team still, in place, and we already know it's not technically the original team that were working on the game back when it released that are working on it now. So that's another, I guess, obstacle or hurdle that would have to, be overcome. But as a whole, I just feel like, it's there. Like, it's still there. It still could be something great. It's just not being communicated correctly. Had things been communicated correctly, we'd be in a complete different scenario right now. But as I say, the comments make that very, very clear. You can just check out the trailers, see what people are saying on Twitter, etc., and on YouTube, and, everyone's 50-50 for the most part, but I mean, a lot of people still come out and say, well, actually, I'm actually very excited for this DLC. I thought it was going to be bad, but are you looking forward to it, or are you looking forward to the Spider-Man game? Because that had some interesting news about the multiplayer version and the online mode, and then also was you lied to about the game. That's a complete different story which you need to check out right now on screen.